Hey there, we're taking a look at God of War running on the i5-1135G7. Now this is currently running at 1080p with the lowest possible settings, not exactly the complete lowest because you can go to minimum settings for the texture quality, but I really don't think that that's worth adjusting at all. So I would just set it all to the lowest preset and then just work from there. Immediately though, these settings were completely out of the question. Just starting off the campaign already, we were just struggling to do anything. And of course, Kratos is looking very smooth, but there is nothing we're really going to be able to do about that because we can't really turn up the settings, because look at that frame rate. We're really not going to be able to do much of anything like this. So to try to alleviate this, we can set the render resolution to 50%, which is at that point about like 540p being upscaled. And the game actually has its own temporal upscaler built in, so I would actually recommend skipping FSR. If you have DLSS, then of course use DLSS. But if you are using, any other kind of GPU, I would recommend just using the temporal upscaling that it defaults to, and don't even bother with FSR. Unfortunately, even dropping down to 720p doesn't really net us much of a gain compared to before. Now this is 720p with 100% render resolution, and we're still hitting horrible 1% lows, and those averages are not even getting close to 30. So there's really not much you can do to improve things here. Unfortunately, even though the temporal upscaler is nice, it's still not enough to usually salvage things here. Although, if you activate it here, it actually doesn't ruin the image as much as you'd think. This is 720p with 50% resolution scaling, and it is just essentially just being reconstructed with, the temporal AA, and it is actually doing a pretty solid job. This does not look like as low of a resolution as it's actually running at. I feel like if Sony still made handhelds, this is pretty much what it would look and run like on something like that. You can definitely tell that there's a noticeable hit to the quality, but it's still able to at least somewhat get a reasonable experience. So if you really care about the story in this, and that's all you want to experience, and the gameplay is kind of just really secondary to you, you can just put this on the story mode, kind of just experience the easiest, gameplay ever, and actually play the story. At these settings, you're gonna get at least a somewhat playable experience, but that's really pushing it. You'd have to be a huge fan of this series to want to experience it like that. So I would say that this is really just not that playable, but if you want to get away with it, you can. I just personally would not put my time into it like that.